This is Aephanemer, another gem from the nation of France and another fantastic extreme metal band from the country. They had released Utopie a few weeks prior, the latest album, and I just loved how it blended folk, black metal, symphonic, progressive, and it just added new impetus into the extreme genre. It's doing something very unique in my eyes, and I just knew I had to get down to the headline set in Manchester and just to see if they could replicate that magic in the studio in the live setting. First up, though, it was Dark Oath from Spain, and they were a massive surprise, really. I mean, I hadn't really listened to them, I didn't know what to expect. They had this symphonic spine, but it was much darker, much heavier, and a lot more progressive. They're such talented musicians, especially the vocalist Sarah. I mean, I was just not expecting those kind of growls to come out from her. It was almost like a dog meowing or a cat barking. It's just I was not expecting it at all. But yeah, I mean, maybe the drums were a bit overpowering at first, and the mix wasn't the best at times, but it definitely got better, and it was a really strong set. Next up, it was Valhalore from Australia. Now, it was the first time for everything. Your first show, first girlfriend, first date, whatever. And this night, it was Valhalore's very first time in Manchester, and I think they got a decent crowd, good 150, 200, maybe more. I think they deserved it, really. They're very similar to Dark Oath in some ways, in the sense that they had a symphonic metal sound, but again, it's a lot heavier, a lot darker. And I noticed they had a live woodwind player. Now, you could just put that on the backing track, and I'm sure a lot of bands would do that, but it felt so much more authentic, coming from, a real player rather than, again, a backing track. And I just loved their energy as well. They seemed so confident on stage. The movement, the crowd engagement, it was fantastic. And I'd love it if they come back to Manchester. Finally, Aephanemer. Now, just looking at the setup, looking at the rig, the lighting rig, I just knew they weren't playing games. They meant business. And the vocalist Marion, she's an absolute force of nature. I mean, barely 5 foot tall. She had the most sadistic and just the heaviest growls and shrieks I've heard for a very long time. I mean, also she mixed up with these crazy soprano vocals. I don't know how she switched between those two so effortlessly, but she did, and just signature really for that sound. Again, like I mentioned earlier, they got a mix of folk, black metal, progressive, symphonic, and yeah, it's just something really unique in metal and something that I think really needs to be discovered and to be appreciated for what it really is. They have this kind of amplest setup. Everything's going direct into the front of house, or I'm not a sound engineer, but basically they're playing with this more modern rig, and everything just sounded flawless. Everything sounded expertly mixed. Everything got a chance to shine. Nothing was overpowering. Also, I mentioned they're a black metal band, but there was no corpse paint or references to Satan or silly cliche rubbish like that. They just had these huge radiating smiles throughout the set, these radiant smiles, and they just could not hide the joy of being on stage. And they should be happy, they should be proud because they're absolutely fantastic. And I'd love them to come back to the UK.